So today we're going to plan a case to design the teeth for 3D printing for immediate placement on dental implants. And we're in the Blue Sky software, and I'm going to open the model editing, and then on the right, import models. And we're going to bring in all of our STL files. These are the digital files created during the virtual surgical planning. And it's asking if we want to align these, and at the bottom we want to click skip alignment. These are already aligned with each other as they are exported from the software that your 3D vendor has used during the virtual surgical planning. And so I've got several things here I'm gonna turn off, and let's see. So this is our construct for our fibula with the dental implants. And one comment I'll make is these virtual implants are 13 millimeters long. And so they are protruding out the bottom of the mandible, which is not a horrible thing. But if they're more than 1 or 2 millimeters out, then you probably want to use a shorter implant. So for this case, these are 13 millimeter implants. So in real life, we'll probably use 10 millimeter implants. And the depth of these is planned so that the platforms are about 1.1 to 2 millimeters subcrestal all the way around. And you can see these VSP abutments, which are sticking up through the occlusal surface. And if I bring in, which one is it? This one. And so these abutments in yellow are 6 millimeters in diameter, and these abutments don't exist in real life. The purpose of these is to create a 6 millimeter hole in the prosthesis, where we're going to digitally subtract these abutments from the blue prosthesis to make holes so that the temporary copings on straight multi-unit abutments can come up through the implants. Through the prosthesis. So the purpose of these during the VSP is to angle the implants so that they are coming through the occlusal surface or just lingual. And now, one thing I'm going to back up to show is the original teeth. Let's see, where are they? Here we go. So, and this patient has a tumor that's moving the teeth around and creating a malocclusion. And so normally I like to simply clone the existing teeth to make the prosthesis. But in this case, we actually cut these teeth out and made this. And the way, and I did this before the virtual surgical planning, so that we could plan the position of the implants. And the way we do this is I'm going to turn off all that. And so we basically cut these out. I'm going to choose this orange model, then go down to this cut tool, and I'm going to go across something like this. And you'll have to do this a few times from some different angles. So for this interproximal area, now the cut is always made into your computer screen from the view that you're facing it. So I'm going to go like that. Okay, if you get this error, don't click the don't show again. Don't click that, because you want to know it every time. I'm going to click OK. And at the top right, we're in model editing, and I'm going to go down to model edit on this tab on the right. If you don't have it, look under the panels for model edit to give you this tab. If you don't see it on panels, that means you're not in this model editing mode at the top right. And so I'm going to choose this orange model, and I'm going to go down to close holes. What this means is that there's holes, and I think it's right here where you can actually see inside the model. And when I click close all holes, it's going to close that for us there. And then over here, I'm going to make this cut a little deeper here. Okay, get the error again, then you just click this close holes and it fixes it. And then from the front, I'm going to do that. And so anyway, and you cut this down kind of like virtual extractions, and then I place teeth using this plus tooth, where you can take the teeth and put them in here and just do a little virtual setup. And I'm going to actually remove this because I'm not going to bore you with how we do that. But when you place the teeth, then we're able to get something like this. And the way I determined the positions was also to use the upper dentition as well. So this is not going to be perfect, and we'll probably have to make some occlusal adjustments here, but you get the idea. And so with this, I'm going to turn off that orange and bring in the implants and the fibula here. So basically, we're going to, in blue sky, cut away areas of this blue prosthesis we don't want. So I'm going to cut off these second molars to eliminate the cantilever. So we're going to be cutting on the blue model. So I'm going to go over here to this blue model and select it so that when I go down to the cut tool, I can tell it which model we're cutting. I'm just going to come around like this to cut off that second molar. I'm going to come over here, do the same thing. And then we want to shorten this. This is kind of like a stone model that's too low over the fibula. And so I'm going to make a cut like that. And actually I left a little corner here, so it's probably going to give me an error. Right. That's probably what it's struggling with right now. Yeah, so here's that little blue error. I'm actually going to click Control-Z to undo that and try that one more time here to be a little more careful. So I'm going to go like that. And we want a little bit of space but above the fibula, between the prosthesis and the fibula. There we go. And back here, I may cut that one a little bit more. And the trumpet-shaped portion of the abutments here, the trumpet-shaped portion is 3.5 millimeters tall, which is the height of the multi-unit abutment, the straight multi-unit abutment that I most commonly use. So the bottom of the cylinder is going to be where the temporary coping attaches onto the multi-unit abutment. So you'd like to have a little space for those to protrude down and not be really buried inside the prosthesis. So this looks pretty good there, I think. And so we're going to export this to go to Mesh Mixer. And let's see, and we're going to choose the implants, the blue teeth, and the fibula model also. When we export these, it's going to export this as one model. So when we bring in Mesh Mixer, this is all one model. So the first thing we're going to do is under Edit, click Separate Shells. And it's going to bring up this objects browser, which has all of these different components that are now separated out. And we're going to get rid of some of the stuff, like I'm just hitting the delete on my keyboard. We're going to get rid of the ramus on each side. The actual implants themselves we don't need, so I'm going to click on those and delete them because they're separate from the abutments. And there's actually a little, the little trumpet-shaped areas. I'll turn that off. We're going to get rid of those also. And I'm kind of clicking on the eyeball here for the fibula segments to turn them off. And actually we don't even, I don't think we even need the fibula segments anymore, so I'm going to delete them as well. There it is. And so the first thing I'm going to do is take all 6 of these abutments and combine them. And the way to find out where they are in the list over here is to click on them to see what numbers they are. Looks like it's 7. Then I'm holding the control button on my keyboard to click all these. This is shell 7 through 12 in this example. In the left top, I'm going to click Combine. It's going to turn them into one model. And the next thing I'm going to do while I'm here is Make Solid. And what this does is it makes sure they're not hollow. And I'm going to click Accept. And when you click Accept, it gives you a new model down here, which is solid. Now the old ones, I'm going to click and delete on my keyboard here. And so now we have these teeth, which I'm actually going to combine them together as well. Just to simplify our list here a little bit. And then I'm going to, I'm not going to make solid on these just yet. Now, you know, I've got a little bit of, you know, there's space between these teeth. I can make the gingiva a little bit better. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off these implant abutments for a minute. And on the left, sculpt, brushes, inflate. And right now I have this model highlighted, so not these colored teeth, but the base model underneath. And I'm going to turn the size down a little bit. And so what it's going to do, it's going to inflate the area I choose coming towards me in the screen. It's going to ignore these teeth. And so to exaggerate it here, we go like that. So I'm going to Control Z and undo that now that you get the picture. So I'm just going to do it a little more subtle there. And there you can see I've just pulled some gingiva up. So in this site, there, and there. Over here a little bit also. And it could be a little more, Control Z, that's too much. It could be a little more even, but I think it's going to work for these purposes, especially for a temporary prosthesis. And so now what I'm going to do is go around and smooth off these areas, and I'm going to turn on these implant cylinders so we can see them. But still with this tooth base model selected, I'm going to go to Sculpt, Brushes, Shrink Smooth. And let me turn the size down just a little bit. And so with this, I'm able to take the sharp edges and just smooth things off to try to have kind of a smooth, rounded, ovate, intaglio surface. And then there's this kind of sharp area of an old tooth up here. Let's see if we can push that away a little. There we go. I may make this thing a little bit larger. Go around and smooth out this stuff. And one important point here is that the reason I have the implant abutment holes, these are going to be the holes. The reason I have these visible during this process is because you want to make sure you've got some bulk of the material around every aspect of those, because if you get a thin area, that's where your prosthesis is going to be more prone to fracture. That tends to be kind of in these lingual areas here, but we already had a pretty good bit of bulk to begin with on these in that lingual area. Good, and so there's a few areas that could be a little better, I think. I'm going to go ahead and combine these teeth with this base shell. So I click the teeth, and I'm holding the control button to simultaneously click the teeth, and we're going to combine. And so if it turns red, that's bad. It didn't like that, so I'm going to Control Z to undo that. And with these teeth, what I'm going to do is Analysis Inspector to see if there's errors, and it doesn't show any. So now I'm going to click the teeth, Analysis Inspector, it doesn't show any. And so with the teeth, I'm going to go to Edit, Make Solid. And you can see, because solid components will combine easier than if they're not made solid. You can see it kind of dumbed down the resolution and the interproximals here. And that's because the default here is fast. I'm going to change this to accurate. I'm going to move this accuracy up about 2/3 of the way and click Update. And that improves it a lot there. So I'm going to accept that. And it gives us a new solid down here. Then I'm going to take these teeth and make solid for those. And again, I'm going to change from fast to accurate. Move this slider up and click Update. Accept. And again, it gives us the new solid version down here in the objects browser. So I'm going to hold Control and hit select these other teeth as well to see if we can combine these again. Good. So it didn't turn red. And I may, let's see, sculpt, brushes, smooth. I may just touch a little bit of these areas that are still a little bit blocky over here. Yeah. Good. And so, and really the last thing we're going to do is, I'm going to, so we're going to subtract these abutments from the teeth to make holes, and I'm going to make solid one more time on the teeth. Edit, make solid, because and the reason is I made those smoothing changes. And update. Good, that's pretty reasonable there. So I made those smoothing changes, which can cause some errors in the next process, which is a Boolean difference. So I'm going to select the teeth, then hold the Control button, and then select the abutments. In this new menu, I'm going to go down to Boolean difference. And Boolean tells us what do we do with the space that is occupied by two implants. or two objects, which is the implant abutments as they go through the teeth. So I'm going to click Boolean difference, which means we're going to subtract the abutments from the teeth, which now gives us room to go and seat this over the temporary copings, which are only 3.5 millimeters in diameter. Now with this, you want to uncheck these two boxes, preserve group borders, and then auto reduce result, uncheck that box. I won't bore you with why. Then you're going to click accept. And now we've got this final prosthesis we can export and 3D print. I usually like to use this analysis tool just to make sure with the inspector. And oh, there, so that's an error right there, which you can either choose auto repair all, or I can just click that and then done. And so now we're ready to export this for our 3D printing.